Hello, everyone, and welcome back to I'll Watch What They're Watching, where we're curious and adamant about cinema. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm Kyrie.
And I'm Adam.
And today we ended up skipping last week. We had some technical difficulties. The software that we used to record had an update, and we had some issues, so we skipped last week. So this week we're going to kind of go a little bit into Mandalorian Season 3, as well as both of us got to go see Mandalorian and Grogu, the new film. So we'll kind of talk about both of those, and it'll, as with all the Star Wars content we've had so far, we have a lot to say. But Adam, have you been able to get to other than Mandalorian and Grogu, was there anything else you got to see the past couple weeks?
Yes. And again, apologies for the technical difficulties. Kiri was very polite in not saying it was Adam's fault, because it was, in fact, Adam's fault. Old computer, got it all fixed, whatever. And I'm also Mandalorian and Grogu. It feels like we really started. I always was like, oh, well, we can do the Star Wars watch so that we'll be ready for the Mandalorian and Grogu. And what do you know? It came. Kiri watched all of it. I watched it as it came out, and now we're here. So we have a lot to say. So I did, in fact, get to the theaters. Beyond that,
I will say one quick thing, just so that I'm being honest. Mando Season 3, just because school started in the holiday and Sarah got her wisdom teeth out, I did sort of skip around a little bit. Like, if there was a fight scene, I was like, moving on. And there was like an episode that I was like, I'm kind of bored, read the rest of it and skipped. So I did not watch all of it in its entirety. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I think by the point you got to, I don't know that you had to, which perhaps colors into my feelings about the movie that we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk more about sort of a May recap next week, just talking about a couple of the things.
Mhm.
There were a couple of things that were chomping at the bit. Kiri really, really wants me to talk about Is God Is,
I
because
really want you to talk
I
about
did see this movie, and my Letterboxd review is, and I quote, "This was really good, 4.5 stars," but it's probably
And
leaving
that's it.
theaters. It's probably leaving theaters for many people very, very soon.
Yeah.
It's in some ways a tough one to recommend, but I think I've never seen Kill Bill, but I think it's very similarly structured in that it's sort of this epic journey to get revenge, and you're meeting various characters throughout the way. Characters that just like are very not almost caricatures, but just like larger than life and have some very specific things that are interesting. It's not as violent. Again, I haven't seen Kill Bill, but it's not as violent
I
as
was about
Kill
to say,
Bill.
I feel like every time you say that, I'm always like, oh yeah, we need to do it. So that might be something we have to do very soon, just because I love the hell out of Kill Bill.
Yeah, so it's not as violent as Kill Bill, but it is still violent at points. And I think what is also good about it is that it's not a movie that before I watched this movie, I walked into and I watched this entire movie and I'm like, yes, I agreed with every single thing in that movie, and I feel like that aligned with me very personally. I think in some ways it did challenge a little bit about how I view certain things and how I respond to different things. I think in a very good way that a movie should do to make you think about it. It is based on a play, so it's the debut film feature for the director. I don't remember her name.
Is the film a little reminiscent of like Love Lies Bleeding?
I don't know that I would make that comparison.
Okay. I'm just trying to kind of get a feel for it.
It doesn't really ever venture into like fantastical elements necessarily, but I would say it does unique things as far as a filmmaking perspective. Like, it's very stylish. It looks very good. The music is really, really good. I think where some people I've seen didn't resonate with it as well is they thought that the main characters could be a little bit more developed. I didn't have that issue. I connected with them pretty well, and I think their acting was phenomenal. I think that I don't think they will get nominations, but I think Sterling K. Brown, who's a supporting actor, certainly has potential to be in that discussion when it comes to awards season, probably as an overlooked nominee. I don't think it'll get any nominations. It's just...
It has flown a little under the radar.
Yeah, I think it's very sharp. I think if you have the opportunity to see it, this is a movie that will be better in theaters than watching it home. It just is an experience. I think the journey in the South, I think there are elements of Sinners there, even though it's contemporary. I think there are aspects that feel like Sinners felt. So if you like Kill Bill, which I haven't seen,
I love Kill Bill.
If you like Sinners, which I have seen, if you like supporting new, creative, female women of color, you should definitely go see this movie.
On that same vein, I will talk about, I did see quite a few things in theaters. Couple things I saw just the past few days, though. I watched the 2019 film Hustlers. This movie is a good time. Like, the needle drops are just solid, like, I've said it before, like laser precision with the editing, just like the beats to the music. And it started, and about 10-ish minutes in, I looked at Sarah and I said, I'd be willing to bet this is directed by a woman. And I looked it up and confirmed it's directed by a woman. And it's just, the camera work feels less exploitative for a movie that's about strippers. It feels like it is more admiring, like, the athleticism and just the beauty of, like, the feminine figure. And the editing seems to be highlighting a lot of the emotional depth and a lot of just, like, the athleticism and the feat of, like, the feminine body. So, had a lot of fun with Hustlers. It's not one that I can recommend to everyone just because it's Goodfellas with strippers. But I think it's a lot of fun. I remember that award season that everyone was shocked that J-Lo didn't get a nomination. And I remember at the time I was like, J-Lo in that stripper movie? Are we sure? And now that I've seen it, I'm like, oh yeah, 100%. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with that one. I also saw The Tree of Life. I'm not even going to talk much about it because I think we will do it as we've floated the idea of doing it as an Arts v Charts before, so I'm sure it will come up eventually. I don't even entirely know how to go about describing this film or like reviewing this film because it feels like a religious experience. Like, it is almost kind of transcendent in the way, like, there's a moment near the beginning where Jessica Chastain's character, she just lost her son, and she says something like, God, why, or God, where are you, or something like that. And it cuts and it goes, and then we have a 20-minute creation sequence. I can sometimes be a pretentious snob, but I think it is a film that some people could find very boring and or confusing, in the sense that like it sort of felt like 2001: A Space Odyssey to me, where there's just moments where it's just sort of like again, the creation sequence, I was just like, oh, we're just okay. We're just watching the earth be created for 20 minutes. The symbolism kind of, to me, because this already was kind of mulling around in my mind, that I read some reviews and they got a similar message, so I feel pretty comfortable in this. It's the idea that, because I am a religious person, it's the idea that, she says, God, why, or, God, where are you, or whatever, and then we see the creation, like, it's almost like, if I can create the vastness of like this world, and if I can create humans and lives and and the earth from nothing, basically, what makes you think that I'm not aware of you? So I don't know. It's something that I'm gonna have to mull over. But I loved it. I think it's a fascinating film. But my movie going experiences, I saw Top Gun Maverick and Godzilla Minus One as re-releases, and I'll save those for next week. I also saw Arrietty in IMAX, which I'll save for next week. I do want to talk a little bit just about the issues I've been having at AMC, because I'm a little annoyed. There's two theaters that are pretty close to my house. The one that's closest is part of a mall, and the whole mall and the parking lot and everything around it is under major construction, and has been pretty much since I moved here a year ago. And I think that just maybe that is affecting the theater area, because the theater is kind of tucked away, and there is like construction. Literally, it is in the middle of all this construction. And then the other one is the one that has the IMAX, and it's much bigger. It's the one that I go to whenever I want to watch like a weird animated film that's playing, because it's the only one that's playing it. The one next to my house is a little bit smaller, but lately there have been issues when I went to go see Maverick, and I saw it. The one closest to my house has 2 theaters that they say it is IMAX, and they are bigger, but it's not the IMAX that's in the big one. The IMAX that's in the big one is legit IMAX. Like it's huge.
Hmm.
This one is smaller, much smaller. So I'm sitting in there. I walk through the door 15 minutes late because I took a nap and I showed up late, and I know there's previews and stuff. I walk in, the theater is not playing anything. So, like, the theater's half full. We're all sitting there ready to watch Top Gun Maverick. Nothing is playing. So I'm like, normally, we should still be,
Yeah,
if
in
not
the midst
trailers, like
of
there should be ads or something.
anything, yeah.
So I settle in. I got my candy, and I'm settling in, and I'm just like, what is going on? I'm gonna go ask, and then another guy walks in. He's like, hey, I asked them to figure out what's going on. They're gonna look into it, and the movie starts shortly after that. We do miss all of the they don't play the trailers. Because we've missed all of that. So we just got the Coke ad the AMC Coke ad that I've seen 5,000 times.
Sure.
As well as the IMAX ad and, everything else for AMC. So that's problem number 1. Then Arrietty was a bit of a fiasco because I accidentally bought the English-speaking tickets to the big theater. So I go there, I sit down, we watch some trailers, okay, all is well. And then the movie starts and it's immediately like, this little prepubescent boy speaking in English. And I was like, yup, out of here. Go to the car, get another ticket, and it's at the one closest to my house. And I'm like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'm still going to get to see Arrietty. It's still going to be an IMAX. We're still going to have a good time. So I bum around for a couple hours, make my way over to the other theater, the one close to my house. And I go in, getting ready to watch Arrietty, same thing. I'm sitting there and got my snacks, and just nothing's happening again. Nothing's playing on the screen. So I'm like, okay. So I walk back out there and I'm like, hey, the movie's not playing. Oh, okay, we'll look into it. Okay, great. So I go back in. So they start the trailers 15 minutes late. So fortunately I have the day off, and I'm like, good thing I didn't plan anything after this because this movie's starting 15 minutes late because now we have to get through all the trailers. So we watch all the trailers, we watch the ads, the movie starts. It's in English. And I'm like, hell no. I know for sure, I got this in Japanese. So I asked the people behind me, because we had chatted a little bit earlier when I was like, I'm going to go see what's wrong. I was like, hey, I just want to double check. This was in Japanese, right? And they were like, yeah, that was our understanding. And I'm like, okay, great. I'll be right back. So I go back out there and I'm like, hey, this movie is in English. I would like it to be in Japanese, please. Oh, yeah, we'll fix it. And I'm like, okay. So I go back in there, and yeah, they paused it and switched it over to Japanese. But at that point, I'm like, this movie is going way over time. This has been a hassle just to see this. That's been twice now that I've walked into the theater and just been like, nothing is playing? Do people work here? What's going on? So I don't know. I don't know if it's just the construction has really taken away some of their business, but it feels like a movie theater in like a small town, like a small sleepy town. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, I know. I have empathy for you now.
Yeah, come on. That's nothing wrong with a small, sleepy town.
No, it's fine.
What a disaster. And I think
Yeah, a mess.
I've one time last summer, I was seeing Phantom Menace, actually, Star Wars Episode 1.
Nice.
And I realized, I think it was like pretty far in, honestly, but they didn't move the curtain all the way. And so like part of it was cut off. So I eventually went and said that, and they went and they fixed it. But I think in general, I'll take this time to share like movie etiquette is just, man, you gotta put your phone away. If you're at a 9 o'clock showing of The Mandalorian and Grogu, 9 p.m., you can't bring your baby.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
can't bring your baby. And, I don't dabble, but I know many people love a gummy or whatever they need to do to pregame to
right.
really enjoy an experience. I'm not saying this other guy in front of me had done that, but by the way he was laughing at every single thing that happened, gotta think it was. And I don't know. I think movies are great to be experienced with people, but man, between our two experiences recently, it's a struggle at times to keep cinema alive.
Yeah, and because my Mandalorian and Grogu experience, there was a family with young kids sitting next to me, and they actually, the parents handled it perfectly. You know, the kid kept asking questions during the trailers, and the minute the ad started, the mom leaned over and said, okay, now the lights are going to get lower, and when the lights go down, you need to not talk anymore. If you need me, we'll step out. And she did step out a couple times with him, and I was like, I think that's great, because obviously you want to share the movie with
But you
your
can't
kids. I
tell
have no
that to
problem
a
bringing kids to the
baby.
movie. I was about to say, but a baby, if the baby is screaming, you take it out.
No,
Anyway.
I do have to say it was really, really cute when they brought the baby in the stroller. It was wearing a X-Wing helmet. It's like
Oh,
the
that's
baby
cute.
is like in a, I would guess maybe like between 9 months and a year old.
Right.
Maybe a little bit older, like a year or two. I don't know.
Yeah.
But still cried at the climax of the movie, so was
Yeah.
quite annoying.
The guy next to me, I complained because I know you had a guy who was just laughing the entire time. The guy next to me wasn't laughing out loud the entire time, but he had this little like hissing loud, like that he did literally any time Grogu did anything. You saw Grogu's face on screen, and I'm
Yeah,
like, okay,
no,
my guy.
and that's okay. You can laugh, and that's like a cool thing to do at the movies, and I encourage it.
Yes.
This man literally laughed at every they like it starts the movie starts and it shows Mandalorian hiding behind a wall. This guy's cracking up at that. And I was like,
Oh, man.
what? They say anything, any dialogue, cracking up. I wish I was exaggerating. It was a laugh every 10 seconds. And it was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It's just, I think we can tell we're going into summer blockbuster season. Like, up until now, it's been us in the theater with like 3 other people. And
Yeah,
now
and
it's definitely, I felt it first with the Mario movie where I was just like, oh, this theater is packed and half the people here are children. And that's just which again is fine. Like, movies are for everyone. Absolutely. Bring your kids to the movies. Just
and you're totally right, because I
proper
do
etiquette.
generally go to movies that it's me and 3 other people, and I'm going to be in movies full of people. We'll talk about it in our June preview of things that are coming up that I'm interested in, but they're going to be in theaters that are full of people, and
Yeah.
hopefully they play the right movies. Hopefully they play the
Yes.
right formats. Hopefully they play it on time. Hopefully we
Huh?
have respect. I've also started in my theaters, because I'm in a sleepy town, sure. They don't have assigned seating, so you just show up and you sit wherever you are.
Shoot.
Yeah, so I tend to sit not in. There's always a separator, right, between like the weird seats in the front and then the rest of the seats. And so I've been in a blockbuster movie like that. I'll always sit in the front row before that divide, just so that gives me the least amount of phones that I'm gonna see.
Right. I will say this. I've occasionally gone to the Alamo Drafthouse. I do love at the Alamo Drafthouse, if people are not following proper etiquette, you can like write a little note like, hey, the people next to me won't stop talking, or like the people next to me are continue being on their phone, and you put it like where you order your food, and the
No
server will
kidding.
give them one warning, and then if they keep getting complaints about them, they will escort them out.
No kidding. That's
Which I
awesome.
think is cool, yeah. But anyway, I also did see a Spanish film called Decorado. Just so we have enough time to talk about Mando, I will also save that till next week. It's not playing in theaters anymore. I think it's going to be on VOD in the next month or 2, but it's the same director who did something called Bird Boy and Unicorn Wars. So I'll do more research and talk about it next week. I really, it is not for the faint of heart. I really, really enjoyed it. I did not think I was going to. It is a social commentary. It is a dark comedy. The ending is bleak. Like, it is a bleak, bleak film. I loved it. So I'll go more into that next week because I really did. I enjoyed the heck out of it. But should we start just with kind of the pre-Mandalorian Season 3 with Book of Boba?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll be happy to jump in here for sure. I did not rewatch Book of Boba Fett, and I don't think I could muster up the courage to rewatch it.
That's fine.
I think this is where things really jump off the rails for me.
Yeah, because you mentioned. Well, I'll kind of let you talk about this because you did mention you were like, spoilers for Book of Boba and Mandalorian Season 3. We'll try to avoid major spoilers for the new movie for Mandalorian and Grogu. but you kind of talked about how they reversed the whole, end of Mandalorian season 2, you have this moment where Mando and Grogu kind of say goodbye. Grogu's going to go be trained as a Jedi by Luke Skywalker. And then they kind of, in Book of Boba Fett, they kind of did a just kidding. And so do you want to kind of expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm going to start even farther back and it'll all tie in. So even before Solo, this was like even before the sequel trilogy, when Lucasfilm got bought by Disney, there were all these rumors and there were these talks about what things they were going to adapt. And one of the things that kept coming to the top was Boba Fett.
Boba Fett,
Let's do Boba Fett doing cool bounty hunter things because that sounds awesome. That sounds like a great thing to do for a character that has very little screen time, but has tremendous cultural impact within the Star Wars fandom and even beyond it, right? And so that was always percolating. And so when The Mandalorian was announced, there was a good while where I thought it was Boba Fett.
Me too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had that impression. And so it just becomes a very funny situation to me where they created that show that everybody was talking about. They did it with a random Mandalorian that wasn't Boba Fett, and then somehow we still got the Boba Fett show. And it's I feel like this is part of, it's not inherently an issue, I think, but I think that it has become an issue for current Star Wars, current Disney. And that is just avoiding new, interesting, challenging stories to go for things that are fan service and that people, quote unquote, want to see. And so the Book of Boba Fett then starts after The Mandalorian is already established, after it's something people really, really like, the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, when we're like, this is the best thing Star Wars has put out in years, and we're so excited about this. Well, now let's do the Boba Fett show. And it's like, wait a minute, we already have the Boba Fett show structure. I'm not sure this is going to work out. So I came into it this is me speaking with all this background of having seen the show now. I was very excited about the show. And I think I was in it for a while. There were some things that I liked, but then it does this very funny thing that you refer to, that it becomes The Mandalorian season 2.5 for 2 episodes. Like literally one of the episode, I didn't rewatch it, but correct me, I don't think Boba Fett's even in one of the episodes. It's just The Mandalorian. I
don't think he is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's literally, you have a full 2-season arc of a show done very, very well. Closed book, wrap it up. Yes, there's some things you can do now that are interesting as far as both characters now separated, kind of accepting their destinies. And then you bring them into another show and you reverse everything you just built up towards. And you say, just kidding, it's our favorite space father and son duo, and they're just going to go back to being father and son hijinks. What situations can we put them in next week? And it's like, really? We did all of that and we're now just going back?
Yeah, and well, because this is a trend in Disney lately where, like, I remember when Disney wasn't afraid to kind of pull, Disney wasn't pulling their punches. Like, all the way back in Bambi, but like, Lion King, spoiler alert for people who haven't seen Lion King, like Mufasa dies. And that is kind of like that's a big moment. That is an emotional moment. That's an impactful moment. They weren't afraid to let people say goodbye. They weren't they weren't shying away from these big, sad, impactful moments. And they've started doing this thing where it's almost like, they're dead, oh, not really. Or like, oh, we're saying goodbye, oh, not really. And it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want the big emotional impact of like a quote death or a goodbye, you need to stick with it. I mean, because they did it with Zootopia. We thought that, I think it was Judy that was dead. One of them was dead, and then they weren't. Like, I don't know. They keep doing it with movies. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here, where it's like you have this big impactful goodbye where it's like, Grogu's gonna go do Jedi stuff and Mandalorian's gonna keep being the Mandalorian. You can't have, that moment cannot have the weight you want it to have if you're gonna say, just kidding, 6 months later.
Yeah, I think that's the fundamental issue for sure. Flipping gears a little bit on a story issue, I do think that part of it is they're backed into a corner a little bit because they can't do anything interesting with Luke because they
No.
don't really establish the new Jedi Order for the sequel trilogy. So it's like
Right.
you can't really do anything fun in that space because we know it doesn't really work. So it's like that's
Yeah.
what all the books and sequels after the original trilogy are about that were written years and years ago. Like Heir to the Empire and all these different
Yeah.
things that
Yeah.
are interesting and fun, but we've talked ad nauseum about the sequels and those issues. So I think from a story angle, I kind of get it when you're in this space because it's like, well, what do we do here? But I don't think that just saying, well, we had a good thing going, let's just keep that going instead. When you have a story that is just a beautiful ending, a beautiful emotional impact, incredible. I tend to shy away from cameos. I'll say the way that they introduced Luke at the end of Mandalorian season 2,
Heck yeah.
incredible, really well done. Then everything falls apart after that, and I just don't think it works as well. I think it's fun to watch, but there's a reason I didn't rewatch season 3 because I was like, I don't think there's anything there for me to rewatch. But seasons 1 and 2, I'm like, that has endless rewatchability because I can connect to concepts and aspects of a journey that's going on in there versus season 3. I'm just annoyed that they went back on those things.
Yeah, and I think part of the... Okay, well, I want one more thing to say about Book of Boba, just because I wrote Cad Bane dies.
Yeah.
Cad Bane is like the bounty hunter that's really in it in Clone Wars.
Like 5 seasons of doing cool stuff.
Like, this guy is terrifying. This guy is a bad A. Like, this is a bounty hunter, and for him to just die, I was just kind of like, what? He's Cad Bane. What?
So
What just happened? But I do Mandalorian season 3. I mean, I confess, I love seeing Mando and Grogu. You want to give me more of that? We're reversing the thing that season 2 did. I look at it and I'm like, well, that's dumb. You're doing the thing you're always doing. But I like seeing Mando and Grogu do things. So I'm kind of like, I think for me, I'm like, had season 3 landed a little bit better, I would have been like, I'm not really that mad about it. I'm pretty much okay with this. But they do this setup where Mando's got to go back to Mandalore. And he's got to bathe in the waters underneath the mines or whatever because he took off his helmet. That storyline is resolved in the first 2 episodes.
Right.
So what I think is going to be the arc of season 3, I'm like, great. We're going to go back to Mandalore. That sounds great. We're going to explore Mandalore a little bit more, figure out what that's all about. And then 2 episodes in, I'm like, we're leaving Mandalore now.
And
okay,
I think this too is where you start feeling like this doesn't look good anymore. And like this set isn't interesting anymore. I think I felt that a lot more in season 3 versus the first 2, like feel fleshed out and developed. And it's like, this just seems like, well, let's go run behind that rock. And now there's this thing. And it's just kind of a weird.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I love Bo-Katan.
Mm-hmm.
I love Bo-Katan. You have an awesome Mandalorian bounty hunter royalty chick. Yes, 10-4, I am here for it. I thought she was cool back in Clone Wars. I thought she was cool. Now I'm just like, yes, Bo-Katan. This is not Bo-Katan's show. Season 3 felt like it was not Mandalorian season 3. It was Bo-Katan, and the Mandalorian will sort of be there.
Yeah, so I think I am actually going to share that big flaw right now, and that's Dave Filoni created Clone Wars, and showrunner, lots of the plot lines, lots of the characters, all these different things, and he did a phenomenal job at creating that world and doing that thing. Now, he's still in charge of these things, and he's saying, okay, I need to get every single character I ever made into live action now. And that's just not an interesting story. You know what? It was an interesting story. Mandalorian season 1 and 2, which were all brand new characters, and it was an awesome thing. Now that we're going, let's put this new person, put this person in and they're going to interact with these people and it's going to be awesome and do all these cool things. That's where it's like, it's just not working anymore. And I think that's why, because these are already established characters and now putting them into live action, it's not working with what's already been established. And I think I talked about this with you about in context of the movie, but I wanted to share it because you made the point of, I love watching Mandalorian and Grogu going around doing, we can say Din, right? That's his name. I love watching them going around doing stuff. There is such an easy fix to do that. And this is set between season 1 and season 2 of Mandalorian. It doesn't have to be chronological. You can just say, oh, this is just a random 6-story arc of something that happened in the middle of a time period that they're together. Like, you don't have to go back on everything you did just to see them together. And I think I would have no issues if that's what they said. And they're like, this is just going to be a fun little thing with them running around doing whatever. But the story just is almost nonsensical at this point. So that the lore and what these new characters and this already established framework, it doesn't fit.
And because my thing is, I don't even mind, because we saw Bo-Katan in season 2 of The Mandalorian, I think, for like an episode or 2.
That sounds right.
And my thing is, I'm like, I don't mind these characters showing up, but like, don't give me Cad Bane just to kill him.
Yeah, that's such a weird choice, too.
So odd. Don't wave around the Darksaber just to take it away at the end of season 3. Because the Darksaber gets handed back to Bo-Katan and then destroyed. And I was like, what? Okay, I guess the Darksaber isn't around anymore. And it was one of the coolest things they had, but okay. And like Bo-Katan, I would have rather keep her as the side character in this season so that you can do your own spinoff with her.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we don't need to, it wasn't Mandalorian season 3. It was the Bo-Katan show. And Mando was just sort of there.
Right.
Like, it's all this, it's her seeing the mythosaur. It's her leading assignments. It's her kind of taking back her throne or whatever. And I'm like, fine, make that its own thing then. Introduce her in The Mandalorian season 3, have her do some stuff with the Mandalorians, hint some stuff, and then make it its own spin-off. Don't hijack Mando's season. Like, that's not what we're here for.
Yeah, but I think it falls down to as well, like, we already have Bo-Katan arcs in the Clone Wars, and I just feel like jumping in and trying to get all of that baggage from 5 seasons of a show that you had to have watched and know, and then come in and kind of know all this stuff, like, I just don't think it really works, like I've said.
Because, like, honestly, I thought all the Moff Gideon stuff was dumb, too, because I feel like we shut that door. We closed that door. Season 2 ended. Like, I wanted to see...
Is he in season 3? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't remember that.
Or it's, again, I kind of skipped around. There is definitely some, like, bringing... There was one episode where most of the episode is just a scientist guy and Katie O'Brien's character, like, doing stuff in Coruscant.
Yeah, that's
where the whole episode, I was like, why are we here?
That's another issue, lots of issues, is that I think the Mandalorian in particular is kind of stuck in between, it doesn't want to be a limited series anymore, but it's also not going to be a full, like, length of regular TV shows that we're used to having, where, like, yeah, if you've got 22 episodes, great, you should have side characters doing random stuff, but when it is this confined 6 to 8 episodes, it just feels weird. Yeah,
so I don't know. I don't think Mando season 3 is horrible. It's still Mando being cool. It's Bo-Katan, who I love. It's Grogu being cute. I just was kind of like, it feels like we're spinning our wheels. I don't know what we're doing here. Which then, yes, goes into Mandalorian and Grogu. So let me give just a little bit of background, and then I'll let you take it from there for a little while. So originally, there was going to be a Mandalorian season 4, and it was going to set up season 2 of Ahsoka. So it was going to introduce some stuff with Grand Admiral Thrawn. It was going to introduce some stuff. It was going to tie into season 2 of Ahsoka. Because it became a movie, that entire storyline got scrapped. And they rewrote it from ground zero to create what became the movie Mandalorian and Grogu. And I liked it more than you did, so I'll let you take it from here. I have the bad, the good, and final thoughts, so we can get into the bad first. I'll let you take it.
I think there are plenty of aspects of this movie that were very fun. I think it
Agreed.
is fun to watch the Mandalorian walk in and kill 15 guys without taking a
Agreed.
scratch. I think it
Agreed.
is fun to see the Mandalorian, have almost a video game mission, go out and do the mission, and you got to talk to this guy and get information and go and do this and
Mm-hmm.
do all these different things. I think all of that is fun. I think that there's plenty of issues I have with this movie, but fundamentally, it is more of the TV show. It is season 4 of The
It is.
Mandalorian, and it is
It is.
not. If anything, it's a TV movie, but it is not a regular movie, and so I have to. I'm not going to just turn off my brain and have a good time. I'm going to compare it with the dozen or so movies that I've seen in the theaters for this year and say, this is not anywhere close to the standard or quality of what filmmaking should be today. It doesn't look as good. It's not written as well. There are zero stakes. I never once felt any sort of emotion. Spoiler alert. I knew he wasn't going to die. I knew Grogu was going to save him. I knew Grogu wasn't going to get hurt. There were no stakes at all in this movie, and there was no arc. There was no character development. There was no growth. And I think there's ways to make movies like that, but I think Star Wars, as you've mentioned a couple times, wants to have its cake and eat it too. And I just don't think that this works at a fundamental level of what it's trying to do in the movie space.
Yeah, so I agree it felt like 3 episodes of a show. I agree they're just strung together. I agree there are no stakes. The no stakes mostly didn't bother me. Because again, I was like, I'm here to watch The Mandalorian and Grogu have a good time.
I think you can make that work.
My concern is, because I wrote this I said, everything's screeching to a halt during the healing sequence.
Yeah.
We know so this is a minor spoiler. At one point, Mando gets injured. So there's this whole sequence where Grogu, decides that Grogu helps save him. Mandalorian has to heal. And so I feel like we're just sitting there for 20 minutes. And because I remember having the thought in the theater at the time being like, we know Mando's not going to die. So why are you drawing this out so long?
Right.
Before you
say it, I want to be the one on record for this movie saying this is too long of a movie.
It is too long of a movie.
Too long. It did not earn its runtime for me.
Because that's the thing too. My opinion is, if it's gonna be a fun little romp with no stakes, it needs to be a fun little romp with no stakes. It needs to be 90 to 100 minutes. It needs to be a crisp, clean, quick, fun little romp. Like, we need to go in there and get out. We don't need a 2.5-hour movie, and we don't need 20 minutes of that just to be Grogu puttering around. Because again, the whole time in the movie, I was like, okay, like, wrap it up. Like, we know he's gonna live. Let's just get to that point where he's gonna live, and I want to see him go fight the Hutts again. Like, I don't care. We're just sitting in the middle of the forest so that Martin Scorsese can have his cameo, I guess.
Yeah, what the heck?
And so I think the movie up until that point is clipping along at a pretty good pace. There's a couple things here and there that I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, okay. I think everything screeches to a halt during that sequence, and I think it doesn't really get back to it. I was like, Martin Scorsese, what? Sigourney Weaver just looks like she's phoning it in.
Holy cow. I mean, between her and Jeremy Allen White, like, some of the worst performances of the year. I mean, like, 2 fantastic actors, but horrible, horrible, horrible performances.
Sigourney Weaver, I don't think damaged the film. I was just like, you're phoning it in. It felt boring and lazy. I wrote in my note, everything. I don't think a single thing about Rod of the Hutt worked.
No.
Not a single thing. I think, because as I was watching it too, I was like, I think this is kind of a cool concept. The idea to take a Hutt, someone that we're like, ooh, this person's bad. This is bad news, no good. I think it's an interesting concept to be like, what if this is a good person? Mm-hmm. Like, what if they are? We just already kind of did that. Like, Mandalorian is an anti-hero, and we already saw anti-heroes in season 1 and 2 that's like, anti-hero with a heart of gold. Like, that's what they tried to do with Rada. Everything about his physique, I was just like, this is dumb. They gave him, like, the you could see the muscle fibers in his shoulders and his six pack. I was just like, this is so dumb. He sounds like a dude, bro. Like they made Rod of the Hutt a gym rat.
But even to the point you were saying about like they're trying to give this arc of like, oh, I'm not a bad guy. All they did to do that was for him to literally say, I'm not a bad guy. They never really showed
and he thinks Grogu is cute, but who doesn't think Grogu is cute?
There was never really like a defining moment of him having to make a choice to be good. It was just kind of like, I'm not a bad guy, and the viewers are kind of like, okay, sounds good.
Because I wanted to like Rada when it was like, ooh, Rada the Hutt, and I was like, Jabba the Hutt's son. Okay, we saw back when he was a baby, we saw him in the Clone Wars movie, which I believe that is the same. I think that's him in the Clone Wars movie.
It is, yeah.
Fact check it, yeah. So
because they show that like, one, they show the hologram when his aunt and uncle,
right.
and
yes,
I thought that was kind of funny.
Yes, that was funny. Because when you saw him, so I was like, okay, he's a cage fighter. I think this is interesting. Like, yes, I want to see him fight Mando. This is awesome. And then he opened his mouth.
Yeah.
They made him sound like a dumb jock.
Yeah. And not even that. My distinct feeling as I was watching that, we just did a ton of Studio Ghibli. We've been watching a lot of foreign animation, and we've talked a lot about subtitles versus English dubs. What this truly felt to me was, because it's a CGI character, and what we're used to with seeing Jabba the Hutt is him speaking Hutt, right? And so,
Huttese, yeah.
Yeah, and so him speaking in English in this Jim Bro voice literally just felt like a bad dub. Like it
did.
I can't even, just a baffling decision, just a weird, horrible.
Because they don't really give him a character beyond just him being like, this is my last fight, I'm gonna be my own man, I'm gonna go, I don't want to be tied to the Hutt family, and Mando being like, bro, let's go. No, because I'm gonna be free after this, I'm gonna be, like, are we, and then he thinks Grogu is cute. I'm like, yeah, as does everyone else.
Right.
Get in line, join the club. Like, again, we kind of already saw this, like, anti-hero with a heart of gold thing in both with Mando, but also with just, like, a lot of characters in Mando season 1 and 2. Because that's the thing, is they see Grogu and they're like, Grogu's cute as heck. Like, Grogu's cute. We're gonna play with Grogu. Speaking of Grogu, and speaking of bad dub, I like when Grogu makes cute little baby noises. I do not like when he sounds exactly like a baby. There is a sound bite of a baby laughing that I feel like is used. It's used in every episode of like the TV show Arthur. It's used in like kid shows. And I heard that sound bite in this movie and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Like that is the little baby giggle that we hear all the time. Like, you're Disney. Fork out some money and get, like, cute baby noises for Grogu. Don't take the cheap little baby laugh that has existed since 1992. Like, I don't know. It's a small thing, but it was one of those things that it takes me out of it because when Grogu sounds exactly like a baby, it throws me off. And I don't appreciate it. So, yeah, I don't know. Oh, last thing. This character shows up, this bounty hunter, bringing Mando back to the Hutts. Why was it a Cad Bane knockoff?
Well, funny enough is he actually is a character in Clone Wars, and guess who he's voiced by? Dave Filoni. So it's another character that Dave Filoni is bringing into live action, and Dave Filoni is in this movie, and you can see him in his X-Wing outfit wearing a cowboy hat in the bar.
I think some of the good stuff is I do think it's doing some nostalgia stuff right. And so I don't need this Cad Bane knockoff. I need Cad Bane. I wish because I was like, if you hadn't killed Cad Bane off, he could have showed up. Because this is what Cad Bane does. He shows up, he disappears into the shadows, and then you don't see him again until they decide to bring him back again. That's what this bounty hunter did. I don't understand why I wish it was Cad Bane. I wish Cad Bane would have showed up, outsmarted Mando, disappeared into the shadows, and then he's in the shadows for when we want to bring him out again.
Yeah.
I don't need this cheap knockoff because I would buy that Cad Bane tricked Mando.
Right.
I would buy that Cad Bane could bring Mando in. This bro, I'm like, who are you? I don't know you. You're some cheap dime a dozen bounty hunter. This is Mando. This is Din Djarin.
Right.
I don't buy for a second that you caught him.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. I'll say a positive thing.
Okay.
Can't give him too much credit, I guess, but puppetry's great. I do think it is very fun. All the Babu Fricks and Grogu. You can't not
They're
love
funny.
it. I mean, they're funny. They're just little guys. Them being with Grogu's a great setting. It's fun to watch, but everything else about this movie I maintain. And then I'll say Ludwig Göransson's score is phenomenal. And I think he does a great job of combining new things, but also like having the trademarks knowing of like, oh, this is a Mandalorian score with some of the ways that he does some things. That like techno sort of beat that he drops in this.
Yeah.
Pretty sick. So I do have to give my props there. And I already mentioned when Mando goes beast mode, I do appreciate watching some of that. I think the first set piece is fun and it's kind of a fun introduction, but goes downhill from there.
Yeah, and I have a lot more good. I'll just kind of go through it real quick. My first note, I just put Grogu, and that you said it right. I mean, the puppeteering, he's still cute. I will say this, I saw it in IMAX. The IMAX experience helped. I will say this, it was almost too loud, which for me, I was like, yeah, I want to feel like an X-Wing is flying by my head.
Sure.
Yes. So everything that was loud, I was just like, this is awesome. I really dug a lot of the set pieces and the planets in this one. In a way, in that season 3 of The Mandalorian felt boring. I liked Nal Hutta. I thought that was really, I liked the planet, but I really liked their base. When the doors opened and it's the twins lounging, I was like, that's cool. This looks luxurious in a way that is creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a drug lord lair, which I liked. I thought that was cool. I liked the Coruscant knockoff. I thought that was decently fun, where he picks up Rada. Great fight choreography. The water monster fight, I think there's that one shot where he's looking up at the water monster, and I was like, I want that in a poster on my wall.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, that's one of the few parts that actually feels like a movie.
Yeah, IMAX experience helped. I actually, minus Rada, I liked the Hutt stuff. I think the Hutts are interesting characters, just in general, because they're these disgusting slugs who are drug lords. They're these crime lords who they're self-serving. That's all they do. And they're in it for the money and the power.
But I think to that point is it was so stupid when, Mando doesn't do what he's supposed to, and then Sigourney Weaver's like, oh, you weren't supposed to do that. Now they're mad at us. They were our guys. And then later in the movie, they're like, oopsie, they were going to double cross us. Thanks, Mando. You were right all along.
Yeah.
But they were like, but again, there were no consequences or stakes or anything of Mando making, the New Republic didn't actually care. They were just like, Mando, don't do that next time. You burned our source. But then it was like, oh, just kidding. You're right.
Yeah, because I was even okay with the you burned our source thing, where it's like, Mando, you're not allowed. Because I liked that aspect of Mando, you're not allowed to be an anti-hero anymore. If you work for the New Republic, you play by our rules, my guy. This is what you do. And so I liked that aspect of it of dude, you didn't do it right. We were trying to make an alliance with the Hutts, but I did think it was cheap. They were gonna double cross us. Well,
yeah, silly.
Yeah. So I would like to see more of. I don't know if we will, but more of the Hutts. Except Rada, he can stay away. And at the end of the day, for me, it's still, and I've had people complain about this, and so this is purely me. It felt like Star Wars to me. I liked seeing the X-Wings. I liked seeing Sigourney Weaver in the X-Wing helmet. I liked seeing, Hutts. I liked seeing wars in space, Space Wars, Star Wars. I liked seeing, I liked seeing the combat. I don't know, to me, it was nostalgia slap that I liked. I think that's where I'm kind of at with this, is that I'm was it a great movie standing on its own merits? I don't know. I had a lot of fun with it. I landed on a 3.5, and again, maybe when I watch it not in IMAX, I'll be like, oh, okay, this isn't as good. But I thought overall, I was like, okay, it's still a 3-star as far as quality. I felt like it was middle of the road. It's not. It's not to the heights of, earlier Mandalorian stuff. It's nowhere near the heights of the original trilogy. It's better than the sequels, and I think it's better than Solo. And so that's the thing is I'm like, I didn't hate it. It didn't make me hate Star Wars when it finished. It finished and I was like, yeah, that was an okay way to spend 2.5 hours. I had a decent amount of fun. It was really loud. I got to see Mando being cool. I got to see Grogu being cute. I got to see some Star Wars stuff. I'm happy. Like, that was kind of all I really needed it to do. And it fulfilled that for me.
I think at times in this podcast, we are trying to prove our point and say why we think something is correct in certain ways. And I don't want to do that at this, because this is a clear instance where, and I think the general wide points we agree on, and we agree why it is bad.
Totally.
But I think the feeling of you seeing that this is bad and seeing that there's room for improvement, but everything you just said, for me, it is opposite. Everything bad.
Yeah.
And it did not feel like a Star Wars movie to me. Like, yes, it's in the world of Star Wars. Yes, there's things going on that feel like Star Wars, but at no point did I feel like I was watching a Star Wars movie with stakes, with something to say, with, a battle between good and evil and rebellion. And
yeah.
That's where it really missed for me, and I was quite disappointed that I didn't feel like there was a reason for this to exist.
I get that. I totally get. I mean, the last note that I wrote, because I have one more final thought, but I said it worked for me. I get why it didn't work for others.
Yeah,
it did work for me. Like, I had fun. I get why it didn't work for others, and I can see the problems in it. And I mean, I think I even say that in my review. I'm like, there are major problems here. Major problems. I don't know, and maybe it was because my expectations were so in the gutter because you saw it and you were like, it's bad. I saw friends and reviews and I was like, the whole first half of the movie, I was just like, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. And then about halfway through, I was like, I'm having fun. Like, genuinely having fun. I do think, and this was just the last thing I'm going to say on my final thoughts, I do think with this movie, Disney has backed themselves into a corner. And I think it's a similar problem that they had with Marvel. So with Marvel, they ended up building this massive, expansive world. And it ended up becoming a thing where they were like, people like me were like, I don't want to see the new Marvel film because to see it, I'm going to have to do all this homework. I'm going to have to watch this TV show and these 2 movies and this TV show and read this comic. And like, I was like, I'm going to have to do 12 hours of homework just to be able to keep up with this new Marvel movie. I don't want to do that. And so with this, I know that they specifically tried to make a movie where you did not have to be keeping up with The Mandalorian to see this.
right.
Which is true. You
Right.
could pretty much walk into this not having seen any of The Mandalorian and be able to follow it relatively well.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you had only seen seasons 1 of The Mandalorian, you would be able to watch this perfectly fine and understand everything that's going on. I don't know which is better. Like, that's the thing is, I get their whole point with this was, okay, well, this is its own thing. It's just kind of this own spinoff. You don't need to have seen, 3 seasons of a TV show before watching this. You can just watch it. Does it work? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's part of my issue is it's like, let's just go back in time and say, in between episodes 2 and 3, they released a fun adventure movie of like something that was happening in the Clone Wars, right? And
Right.
it's just this one-off thing. It follows Commander Cody and a squadron of clones, and they go and do something, and it's, something along
Right.
those lines. And it's like, this works because I know they're working on episode 3, and this fills this purpose. Versus this, it's like, this is the first movie since Rise of Skywalker. Like, what direction are we going in right now?
Yeah.
Like, there's no clear vision. There's no clear stakes. Like, I'm not connected to this world right now anymore because I don't know what this is doing right now. Having said all that,
Yeah.
there is hope because the
Yes.
next project that we have to watch together is Andor. And Andor is perfect.
I was about to say I feel like I keep hearing that Andor is like the light in all the darkness. So I'm excited to watch Andor. I think it's going to be interesting where Star Wars movies go from here as well, because Kathleen Kennedy, she was in the credits for this one. I think she produced it. She is no longer
Nope, the
the
keys have
head
been
of
handed to
Star
the man
Wars.
himself, Dave Filoni.
And so there is that. I know they are kind of thinking of like redacting the sequels.
Yeah, we'll see.
Which is, so I don't know. I don't know where Star Wars is going to go from here. I think, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. I think that there are movies in the pipeline. I'm curious if we're going to see another season of The Mandalorian or if this is it. I don't know. But yeah, I do know that next up is Andor. And I am very, very excited for that.
Yeah,
But
we'll see when we get to it. It might
Adam,
be a few months, just sharing that.
yeah, but besides that, what else are we watching?
Great question as always. We mentioned we're just going to kind of do a recap of sort of everything we've watched over a little bit. There's a few more things we want to cover and some big highlights that we have, along with the preview, because as Kyrie mentioned earlier, this is the start of blockbuster season. In that same vein, with Disclosure Day, the newest Steven Spielberg UFO movie that is coming out next week, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. We are going to do a top 3 Spielberg movies. There are a lot, and I've actually seen a lot, so I think it'll be a fun discussion. A couple
Me
I'm
too.
going to try to hit before we get there, and then we're going to do, in celebration of Pride Month, we are going to do a queer arts versus chart. Currently, we have sad gay men. I'm thinking about if we're going to change that or not, because we don't necessarily always want to be sad when we're talking about queer representation and queer love. But I do really want to revisit Moonlight and Brokeback Mountain, so we probably will.
Adam is being very, very polite about this, where he was like, hey, I think for Arts versus Charts, we should do Moonlight and Brokeback Mountain. And I basically said, I don't want to watch 2 movies about sad gay men.
Yeah.
So Adam is being pretty.
I still might make us do that, but we'll see.
No, that's fine. I just think it's funny
not for
that
like
you're
2 weeks, so 3 weeks, so we'll see.
It's just Adam is being nice and not throwing me under the bus when that's 100% me being a stick in the mud about that. I would like to do an episode where we talk about queer cinema, but again, I think that's you were being very nice to not throw me under the bus, but no, it's definitely me being grumpy about watching movies where gay
It's
men
an
are
understandable critique or concern about sort of mainstream queer cinema, I'll say. So we can have those
good
conversations.
movies. Like I've seen Brokeback and I like it. Gay movies are sad.
Yeah, no doubt. Anyways, appreciate everyone that's listening, all the feedback, all the engagement. As always, follow us, like us, share us with a friend. And until next time.
Catch you later.